going to pass it. Okay, so after you introduce yourself, pass it on to somebody. And hopefully someone is keeping track of who is gone and who is not gone, because I will not be good at that. Okay, Maytal, I see you, so I'll let you go next.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maytal Barak. I'm the Early Childhood Coordinator for Durham County. And what was the other thing I should share, Kathy?
Is there anything you would like for us to know or anything you wanted to share?
I echo what you shared about last night's apprenticeship signing day. It was very inspiring to see that room full of folks from all corners of our community. So that village was really there. I also want to lift up all the pre-K sites that have opened their doors to me visiting. It's been wonderful to get to know the community in this way and meeting the directors and some of the teachers themselves. So I am very grateful for that as well. And I'm going to pass it on to Brittany.
Sorry. Hey, good morning, everybody. My name's Brittany Gregory. I am here as a parent of a 3.5-year-old and a very busy 6-month-old, which is wild to say. He is almost already half a year old already. And so yeah, happy to be here, and I will pass it to Nita.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nita McAdoo. I am an instructional support manager. I provide technical assistance, coaching, and modeling. So I actually am on the ground working in the centers and any other things that Linda and Monty need me to do. I will pass it on to Joy.
Hi, I'm Joy Turner. I'm the Data and Provider Relations Director at Early Years, which I'm having trouble getting used to saying Early Years instead of CCSA. So it's a tough habit to break. But I work with payments and data for Durham PreK and then some other of our programs as well. I will pass it to Xavier. Did he just disappear? Xavier?
He's on there, but he looks frozen.
Okay.
I think I'm back.
Oh, there he is.
You're back.
I did get kicked off. Xavier Kaysen, Durham Public Schools Foundation, Director of Community Schools. Happy to be here. Has Sabrina gone?
Not yet, nope.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina. I work with Early Years, and I am the research specialist with the research department. I will pass it on to, what do I see? Rachel.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rachel Osborne. I am the Durham PreK Data Manager. So working on data and payments, all types of data related things for Durham PreK. I am excited to be here today. I will pass it to Brenda Carter.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brenda Carter. I work with Families, Community to Rise and Head Start and Early Head Start. I am the NC Pre-K Administrator for Durham and Orange County. Something about me, my youngest child will be graduating from Winston-Salem State on December 13th. She gets married August 25th of 2025, and then my house will be completely empty. And I'm excited. And I'll pass it to Jamaica Wells.
Good morning, everyone. That's exciting news, Brenda. I don't know how I can follow that. So I'm just going to give my spiel. I am the Director of Programs with Durham's Partnership for Children. And I provide oversight to our Smart Start, NC Pre-K, Durham Pre-K programs in Durham's partnership. Thank you. Let's see. Let me scroll a little bit because I'm going to pass it to Marilyn Agostini.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Marilyn Agostini. I am the Durham PreK manager for early years. And I am going to pass it on to Jason Rutherford. Has he gone yet?
Hey, good morning. You guys hear me?
We can,
Excellent.
yes.
So, excellent. I'm Jason Rutherford. I'm here representing my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma. I'm actually the regional director for social action in my organization. Professionally, I'm a group sales manager for a logistics company, and I've really enjoyed my time on the board thus far. And congratulations on another event. And I'm gonna pass it to, let's see, I don't know, has Miss Stevens gone yet?
I have not. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Adrienne Stevens. I am the Communications and Public Engagement Coordinator for Durham PreK. And let's see, I'm going to pass it to Tosh.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tosh Adams, and I am the Durham PreK Outreach and Family Engagement Coordinator here at Early Years. I will pass it to Waukesha.
Great morning, everyone. I am Waukesha Glass. I currently serve as the Vice President of the Pre-K Governance Committee, and I am also Associate Professor at North Carolina Central University under our Early Childhood Education program. So excited to be here this morning. And so I will now pass it over to Tamara. I don't believe you have went yet. So Tamara.
Good morning, everyone. Tamara Mathis, the Durham Director of Pre-K here at Early Years. I can't see anybody to pass it to. So I don't think, Tabitha, did you go?
I have not went. So my name is Tabitha Williamson. I am the administrative coordinator for the Durham Pre-K team here at Early Years. Also, just to let you guys know, I am keeping track of who has went and who has not. So if somebody comes up to a point where they don't know who's been and who hasn't, I can take care of that for you. I am going to pass it to Linda.
Okay. Couldn't find my unmute. Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. I'm Linda Chappelle, and I'm Senior Vice President here at Early Years, and absolutely thrilled to be at another governance meeting, having been energized also by our event last night at Durham Tech. So awesome to see the new apprentices, and just really proud that Durham PreK has made it possible for us to have the apprenticeship program in the first place. The need for this, for us to staff in a way that we can serve all the 4-year-olds to meet our goals makes it really imperative we have that long-term investment. So really thrilled to death about that. I'm going to pass it to Kate.
Good morning. I'm Kate Goodwin. I am the owner of Kate's Corner Learning Center, as well as the founder and executive director of Truth Education Foundation. And I'm glad to be here today. Haven't been here in a while, but glad to see all of you. Thank you. I am going to pass it to I'll pass it to Ioma.
Thanks, Kate. Greetings, everybody. So glad to be here as well. Iome Ruka. I am a professor in the Maternal Child Health Department at the Gillen School of Global Public Health at UNC Chapel Hill, and just grateful to just be in the space and just look forward to the conversation. With that, and I know, Tabitha, you were going to help us. So let me just see if has Rachel Osborne, have you gone, Rachel? Okay, so let me go to Frederic, if I said that correctly. Please correct me.
Yes, you did. So thank you. I'm Frederic Yova. I'm the Senior Research Manager at Early Years, and I'm delighted to support the Durham PreK work. And Moni, did you go? I don't think you.
Have not gone yet. So
Okay,
thanks. I'm Moni Griggs. I'm the Senior Director of Quality Enhancement Initiatives here at Early Years. And I will pass it to Karen.
Good morning, everyone. I am Karen Thompson. I am the Director of Early Education for Durham Public Schools. And I will pass it to Rachel's band, June.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm June Shillito. I'm the current director of Yates Baptist Child Development Center, so I'm here as a provider. But as I'm about to retire, Linda kindly asked me if I would stay on as an expert. So I am looking forward to continuing to join you in these conversations. And I look forward to it. And I don't know who to pass it to.
I'll go next. This is Alexandra Hollid,
Okay.
and I work at American Institutes for Research, and I'm a principal researcher there and the lead for our early childhood work group. And I don't know who else hasn't gone, so I'd appreciate a hand with that.
Looks like Beth and Deborah are the last two.
Hey, y'all. I'm Beth Messer-Smith. I'm the state director for Moms Rising. And I just want to echo last night was so uplifting and inspiring. And I loved the signing ceremony. There was something so beautiful about seeing the apprentices with their families and their mentors. It was just exactly what I needed after this legislative week. So thank you all for all the good work that you put into supporting the apprentice program.
And I'm Debbie Pittman, Assistant Superintendent with Durham Public Schools, working with the early education department.
Great. Okay, Tabitha, did everybody go?
Everybody on my list has went.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for doing that. It's just so nice to hear you all and to see you all. And June, you already said what I was just going to say to everybody, that you have got a big transition coming up, and we are just thrilled that you are going to continue on, not as a provider in the provider role any longer, but as an expert in early childhood. So we are thrilled for that, and congratulations on your upcoming retirement.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Great, thanks. And you also noticed we do have two guests with us today from, oh, y'all, the early years. It's going to take me so long to not say childcare services. And so I think that is all that we have for guests right now at the moment. Linda, is that correct? Has anyone else popped in?
Yeah, Frederique will be presenting some of our data later, and she's the only one today.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so you'll see our meeting objectives here on this slide. As usual, we have got a very full meeting with lots to discuss. We only have, it appears, just one voting item, but we will have a lot of other information to review and to discuss. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is to review the notes from our September meeting. And before we do that, I have got one question for you all. When you were reviewing the September notes, you might have noticed that there was, for the first action item for the governance, when we approved the meeting notes, we have that Jason made the motion, but we're not sure who did the second. We do some technology glitches. That information wasn't captured. Does anyone remember who made the second? Did any of you make the second? Okay.
Yeah. And we know it was seconded because the recording acknowledges a second, but we just didn't capture the person. So we'll just reflect that in the notes. It's, it's not a crisis. I think we're okay. But we'll just be diligent in the future that we make sure that we capture it outside of the recording.
Great. Thanks, Linda. Okay, then. So we are looking for a motion to approve the September meeting notes.
This is Alex Hollid. I'll move that we approve the September meeting notes.
Thanks, Alex. And do we have a second?
This is Jason Rutherford. I'll second the meeting notes.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Okay, Linda, remind me, do we have to have everybody actually raise their hand to vote, or can we do that if you don't approve, don't?
We can do the if you don't approve, raise your hand thing. Yes,
Okay,
we can.
great. So if you do not approve this, please raise your hand. If you approve the meeting minute notes, don't do anything. Okay, I don't see any
Don't see any.
hands. Okay, great. The meeting notes have been approved. Thank you all. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda are Durham Pre-K updates. So Linda, I will turn that over to you.
Okay, and I'm going to acknowledge that our new Durham County Manager, Claudia Hager, has joined our meeting today. We want to welcome her in her new permanent role, and we're very excited to work with her. Claudia, do you want to share anything with the group? Put you on the spot.
Sure. Good morning. It's so great to join the conversation today. You may hear a little noise in the background. My loud printer is printing, so my apologies for all of that. For those of you who know me, I have a special place in my heart for all pre-K related issues based on early career in public policy, working on some initiatives. So thank you for all that you do in the work, and I look forward to continued partnership in my capacity as county manager.
Thanks for being here. We really appreciate your time, and we appreciate that when you're not able to be with us in the future, we know that Maytal will keep you up to speed. Maytal Barat being the early childhood coordinator for the county, as all of you know. But we just really appreciate the opportunity to have your counsel. So thanks for being here. Okay, so for the update, I'm going to turn it over to Tamara Stevens, Tamara Mathis. I apologize. I've worked with Tamara for so long that sometimes my brain flips back to the old days when her last name was not Mathis. Tamara, I'm going to turn over the updates to you. I apologize.
Let's just be glad my husband probably won't be listening to this recording, so I think we're good. Good morning, everyone, still. And I'll just kind of peruse through this because you guys will have the information. But as of November 1st, we have received about 1,674 applications for this school term. Most of the families have completed application, have been offered placement. Staff from, of course, all of our partner agencies that are represented on this call have assisted with the parents getting the applications that are incomplete completed. So we are still rocking and rolling for this year. So we use multiple ways of communications and attempts to get the missing documents complete so we can offer placement. We do a lot of videos, ongoing community presence. So there's a lot of wheels turning for this, and it's an ongoing effort that continues, whether it's this year or next year. As far as outreach, this is just for October. We have an outreach subcommittee, and that we meet monthly. The groups consist of staff members, families, providers, and community members. So far for October, we've participated collaboratively or particular entities with Durham Partnerships had a fall. Durham Partnerships for Children had a fall festival with Project Catch. We had our National Night Out with Cornwallis. First Presbyterian had their fall festival. White Rock CDC had their school fair, and we also supported the Hispanic Heritage Month event at Burton Elementary School. And you can see pictures with all the partners there, and we had some fun. Continued outreach. Our interior and exterior bus ads, as you hopefully see them on the buses here in Durham, continue to be in circulation. If you don't know, we have most of our events where we are attending within the community listed on our outreach calendar on the Durham Pre-K website. So that's always kept up to date in case you need anything or can't reach out to a member on the team for additional support. And for October, we've Durham Advocates for Exceptional Children. We partner with Durham Advocates for Exceptional Children, the Alliance for Equitable Disability Inclusion in Education, and Durham Housing Authority, just to name a few of our external community partners, organizations that we partner with in October. And now I'll pass it on to Nina McAdoo.
All right, so I'm going to give a
kind of an update on where we are with the IRR, which is the Inter-Rater Reliability Through Teaching Strategies Gold, and talk about checkpoints and the significance of those, because we are very proud of our teachers. So the IRR, as I said, stands for the Inter-Rater Reliability Through Teaching Strategies Gold. All NC pre-K teachers must maintain a current certification. So we're talking about new teachers, and we are successful. All of our new lead teachers completed certification. So if you're curious, what exactly did they do? Teachers are given documentation for specific children that they then must assess on an age-related color band for development. Teachers must score 80% or better on each of the 6 domains in order to successfully pass the certification test, and it's good for 3 years. So the 6 areas were social, emotional, physical, language, cognitive, literacy, and mathematics. So the teachers were given we collaborate with NC Pre-K on a teaching calendar that tells them the due dates, and the due dates were November 15th for them to have their certification completed, and we met those goals. The next thing is checkpoints. Checkpoints were completed by all of the Durham Pre-K teachers. Checkpoints are when teachers officially assess children on 36 objectives across 9 developmental domains every 12 weeks at the end of the quarter. So the teacher places a child's ability related to specific objectives on the developmental continuum for their age group, which is specified by a color band in the teaching strategies goal. And so once the teachers have finalized checkpoints for a specific quarter, teaching strategies gold can then generate a number of different reports with the assessment data. The assessment data for an individual child classroom can be then compared to widely held expectations. And that's a big piece of the data. Are we successful? Are children being assessed? And how do we compare to the Head Start national standards? So that's a big deal for us to really collect the data so that we can share with our partners, and so we can see as a whole how are we handling things as pre-K as a whole. So that's very important. And then I just wanted to update governance on, we have our special track. So we do an annual conference called the ASK Conference, Advancing Skills and Knowledge. And the conference is virtual, but the Durham Pre-K thread will actually be in person. It'll be held at White Rock Child Development Center, and Community Partnership, Inc. will be presenting on a track called Handling Big Emotions, Managing Children's Emotions in the Classroom. So we're excited. And the reason why we are doing that topic comes directly from the teachers. We are getting a lot of feedback from teachers just handling, how do they handle struggles? How do they handle behaviors in the classroom? So we are getting a lot of calls from providers asking us, can you call ECHO? Can you have your healthy social behavior specialist come to the classroom? So it is our goal as TAs, and my goal as an instructional support manager, to make sure that we are providing support for for teachers, so that they can be effective in the classroom. And we don't want to lose teachers. We want to make sure they're supported. So we have a robust professional development plan that provides support, and we are specifically using the ASK conference to really hone in on some and give the teachers some tools for things that they could use in the classroom. We don't want expulsion. We want children to be in quality programs and to have the things that they need to be successful as they leave to go on to school. For Durham Pre-K, the next bullet says, oh, and just so you know, we have 83 Durham Pre-K teachers. That includes lead and teacher assistants. We have a big group. So, and all teachers signed a professional development agreement in August, and through the whole year, we're checking in with them, supporting them, and we use a variety of ways to kind of work with teachers, because some really like the PLC approach. So we do professional learning. We do we try to do like a menu for them so they can select the ways that learn best for them. So we do try to really look at the teachers and pick trainings that they want to do. So behavior has really been a big deal for us. And so we're very proud. For October, we had several trainings. We did the trainings around community of practice. We had 3 trainings where we just focused on Smart Teach, which is the piece of the creative curriculum that deals with assessments and the IRR and the checkpoints. So Maggie Conley, who's on the Durham Pre-K team, provided 3 virtual Smart Teach training opportunities, and they were well attended. The October 3rd was documentation and assessment. October 15th, we did a virtual session on engaging with families. And October 31st, we did a session on developing reports. So the good thing about these virtual trainings, we asked veteran teachers who have been really successful with doing their checkpoints and IRRs and documenting assessments to actually lead some of the sessions. So that's a way to encourage them for leadership. Some teachers are very nervous about doing that, but we're very proud. We had some teachers step up, and it's something about learning from your colleague. I mean, I can say it, but when a teacher in the classroom shares what they're doing, sometimes that helps, a light bulb moment. Oh, I'll try that for documenting or for doing assessments. Additional trainings for October. We had, of course, a community of practice. We did something new this year called the Early Educator Network which was led by Carissa Livingstone, who's a healthy social behavior specialist. We had 25 teachers log in, and it was an open forum just to discuss what's happening in your classroom. And she gave resources for them to support them in handling behaviors in the classroom. So we were very excited about that. There was no credit given. It was optional. And to have 25 people log on, I think that was very successful. And of course, then Carissa sent out resources like the behavior newsletter, things like that. So they had some things that they could look at on their own. We had a teacher assistant seminar that was very successful on October 25th. The purpose of a teacher assistant seminar is just for the teacher assistants who often get left out in some of the bigger trainings. We wanted them to have a platform where they could just discuss how it is to work as a teacher assistant. So the forum was actually about how do you collaborate with your lead teacher? And some of them were very open. My lead teacher doesn't let me do anything in the classroom. Others were saying, we sit together and actually do lesson planning together. We decide who's going to handle the centers when the children go out for free play. So I think that the teachers who are in classrooms where that isn't happening left encouraged, because Kamika Henderson, one of our TAs, created an agreement that they could take back to the lead teacher on what and how are things going to flow in the classroom. And I think that helps empower them that you are just as important. It says teacher assistant, but you're a co-teacher. You're just as valuable and important. And then we had on October 25th, our Making the Most of Classroom Interactions, which is all part of our classroom assessment scoring system. For those that don't know, we use the class measure in the classroom to support teachers around quality interactions. So most teachers are very familiar with ECHRS, which is more environmental based. We are doing the class assessment because we want to really focus on the interactions. Not that we don't care about the materials in the classroom, but we're more concerned about what are you doing with the materials. So you can have a beautiful center with all the bells and whistles, but we're looking at how do you actually instruct children? We're looking at language. We're looking at all of that. And so we are very, very proud of the fact that we have 14 people participating in MMCI. It is required for lead teachers, but the sessions are going well. And then on October 25th, we did a pyramid model training, once again, supporting teachers in the classroom on handling challenging behaviors. And that was well attended as well. And then we also do supports around the administrators. So for those, I don't know if we do PD for the teachers, but one thing that's different about Durham Pre-K, we also have a track and PD support for the administrators. And many of them have been leaders for years, but we all know learning never ends. So we do have the directors sign a PD agreement, and they do webinars of their choice that helps them to be a better leader. We offer something called the Leadership Training Series monthly at the NC Pre-K, Durham Pre-K directors. We have different ways to support PD that way. And currently directors are participating in an intro refresher for the class measure. It's a self-paced course. And of course, that helps us keep class in the forefront. We want the directors to continually kind of hear about class, to think about those domains and dimensions, and find ways to support in the classroom. Currently, we have 7 directors, though, that actually have their certification. They have their class pre-K observer certification. So that's encouraging for directors on their own to maintain their certification. They don't have to, but that means that they're able to go and observe in their own centers and model and provide support if needed around the class measure. And so I will move on to education. And let's see the numbers right now. We have, just so you'll know, we have 9 teachers working on their license, their BK license. We have 4 teachers currently working on associate's degrees. We have 3 teachers enrolled working on their bachelor's, and we have 1 teacher that's actually working on their master's. As far as licenses, Laverne Lassier, who works at Kids Are Kids, just was awarded her emergency license, which is awesome. Laverne was not the original hire in that classroom. The teacher who was hired resigned quickly. And so for Laverne to be pulled out of another classroom and to be motivated to do what she needed to do to get her emergency license, I wanted to lift her name up today because that's awesome. And then we have Natasha Johnson at Primary Colors. She just received her BK residency license. That replaces the old lateral entry. So we're very proud, and we do support and encourage education. So we check in as TAs with the teachers on how things are going with their course. We ask them to submit a schedule so we can see that they're actually enrolled. And then we pass that information on to Joy and Rachel when there are any changes or updates in education. And we are continually to support with education and through trainings by checking in. And so we will continue to do that and update you all as education goals are maintained throughout the year. And we already have teachers submitting their spring registration to us. So is there any questions about anything that I shared around PD?
Nita, I don't have any questions, but this is great. Everything that you have just described that's going on, all the support that are in place for the teachers. I mean, I think you said it at the beginning. It's so important to keep the teachers and to support the teachers so that they want to continue in this profession. It's just great.
Thank you.
So thank
We're
you for
really-
sharing that.
Yeah, we really are trying. And I think I'm very proud. I love working at early years, but I'm very proud to be part of the Durham Pre-K team and working with all of you all because quality is so important. And when teachers are moaning about all PD, I think we make sure that we lift them up and let them know when we see the differences in the classroom. So they need to hear that quality matters. So trust anybody on this call, trust we are making sure that teachers are being lifted up, encouraged, and have the resources they need to be their best in the classroom. Thank you.
Yeah, the last few meetings, we haven't had an opportunity to really hear deeply about professional development. And so we really wanted you to have a chance to have a snapshot of what was really going on. It's really critical. I think Ioma has her hand up.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much, Nita, for just sharing the wealth of detail and depth that you all are taking at early years. I gotta also get used to that. Like everybody else, just that you're taking, right, the intentionality. And I actually appreciate your last comment about really how to uplift, right, the workforce, and because there's a lot that's coming at them at every moment. The one question I have, and you don't have to have an answer yet, right, right quick or right at this moment. So recently I was part of the National Academies, and we released a whole report around sort of a new vision for curriculum. And I mentioned that because we talk about that for curriculum to be activated, educators have to have all of the right, professional development opportunities, the right coaching, all of that stuff, but also the right sort of system administrators and leaders. And a lot of it is really how do we support, and the focus of the report funded by Gates was really how to support particularly children, both who are racially and ethnically minoritized, children who are emerging bilinguals, children who are living in poverty, and children with disabilities. And so I'm just wondering, right, to what extent you don't have to, not per se about the report, but per se
Sure.
about the children, the particular groups of children who often have been left behind with a lot of our PD. And so just wondered to what extent there may be a focus on that as well.
When are you asking me, like, do we do special trainings just on equity?
Yeah, like like how much do you
Yes,
focus on sort of those
we
groups
do.
of children? Yeah.
We do. So we often get teachers that are asking for support in the classroom around language barriers. That happens a lot. We have children who are from different cultures, different languages, and teachers are struggling on what to do. And we do ask them to participate in webinars and podcasts and trainings that will really lift up and encourage them to see the view and make sure that children of color, children that are marginalized, are getting the things that they need to be successful in kindergarten. So we do things like that, even in some of our PLCs and some of our professional learning communities. We discuss. I don't know if that answers your question, but we are very conscious of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we can be aware that this is an interest area, obviously, that governance members support, and we can lift up some of the things that are going on a little bit more frequently so that you'll get information about the wide range of opportunities. I think that, especially coming out of the pandemic, we continue to hear about the very real challenges, especially around the social emotional health of our children and all the parts that go into that. And so we're really investing a lot of resources into professional development and continue to look for ways to listen to what the teachers are telling us they need, and then also help them understand that there are things they may not have thought of that we want to also strengthen them in. So we'll be sure that we more regularly update you about what we're doing.
And we do just last thing, we do teacher surveys regularly to make sure that the training that's being offered is impactful and resonates for them. So it's not me just saying these are the trainings. It really comes from the teacher's voice on what they need in the classroom. And then we go out and support them with the coaching and the modeling that's needed.
Okay, so we're going to move to apprenticeship, which you've heard a little bit about already. Maggie West is representing us at a state event for apprenticeship that conflicts with our governance meeting. And so we'll hear from Tamara about the status of this program.
All right, hello again. So the updates for our early childhood apprenticeship program, and of course you can see the numbers. We have 22 that are returning apprentices. We also have 16 new apprentices that we celebrated last night for fall 24. We have 20 mentors with an average of about 20 years of experience supporting those apprentices. And we have 19 partner employers in 22 locations. So some highlights, of course, as we all shared last night, we had our apprenticeship signing day, which was very well attended. We had a great turnout, and it was a well organized and supportive event. And again, thank you to Durham Tech for all your support on that. And we also hosted a virtual information session that focused on exploring a bachelor's degree options for early childhood. And that was in collaboration with North Carolina Central University, University of North Carolina in Greensboro, and Teach with 39 registered participants. Pictured here, you have Miss Jeanette, apprentice at Early Head Start, teacher at Randy's. She's displaying her 3 Durham Tech certificates that she has earned thus far. So a lot of them are working very, very hard And I was telling someone yesterday, I can't wait to dust off my robe, if allowed, to wear for graduation. But I think I'm more excited than some of them. But a lot of them are doing a lot of great work and working very hard to get their credentials accomplished.
Okay, so we're gonna shift and I'm gonna we're gonna hear from, if you'll go back, Tamara, we're gonna hear from Dr. Pittman from Durham Public Schools with an update for you around the licensing information. You'll recall from our last meeting, we had some robust discussion about the sites, and we're gonna hear from Dr. Pittman.
Thank you, Dr. Chappelle, and good morning, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure to provide some updates on this. I would like to recognize Karen Thompson, our Director of Early Education for Durham Public Schools, and she is spearheading all of this work, and I applaud her leadership in this arena. But we have some great news about Murray-Massenburg, and thanks to the county commissioners for their support of the expansion of 3 additional pre-K classrooms. Those classrooms are filled and full, so we're thrilled about that as well. But we're pleased to announce that they have successfully completed the requirements for their temporary license through the Division of DCDEE. And all 3 of those classrooms have their temporary license effective October the 9th. So now we're in the 6th month phase of continuing to work with the state consultants, the DPK consultants, as well as our DPS, Durham Public Schools staff, to make sure they're receiving the support they need so that we will be pursuing full licensure at the right time. The application will be submitted, and then we will go forward with hopefully receiving that 5-star license. So great news on that arena. If there are any questions, I'm happy to pause.
Just for those of you who don't really work with licensing much, you'll just to be aware that any new program, it always gets a temporary license once they begin the process. But it is a complicated process to get that temporary license, and we appreciate that the district has been diligent about getting that, especially with brand new buildings. It can be pretty challenging. But that in the quality rating system in North Carolina, that 6-month period of the temporary license is for the site to stabilize their activities and for the quality rating system to play out in terms of all the assessments. So we just really welcome that and are excited that the team at the public schools has been so successful at getting that taken care of with that heavy lift of opening a brand new school.
Thank you, Linda, for that. And then just wanted to loop back the last time we were together about the Whitted School and the program there. You'll remember Whitted is in a shared use facility with the Veranda Senior Living Center, and we had spoken of some of the challenges around fire marshal visit and
You need to see
getting
your
in.
ID? Do you need to see our ID?
RTI employee?
No, I'm here for an event. Christy Snuggs.
Christy, you're not muted.
You can see something?
Yes.
Okay. But with that mixed use facility, some of the violations were on the senior living side. And so we were working in close communication and partnership with the facility and the facility manager, I believe is their title, to make sure that once the facility was in compliance, that we could pursue reinstatement of our Whitted license, which, happy to report, effective September 16th. That was fully reinstated. We were notified on the 27th, and then subsequently we've received the hard copy of the 5-star license, which was, I believe, received. Karen, I may need your help. It was mailed to us on October the 7th. So
Yeah.
we're back in full standing, full graces with 5-star at the Whitted School, and appreciate the support of the entire team to make that happen. Those are our updates.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. We want to make sure that we're able to support all of our partners in their efforts. And we know it's a lot of work and a lot of moving parts. So thanks a lot. Dr. Pittman. So we're going to turn it over to Adrian to talk to us about our upcoming Giving Tuesday activity. Adrian?
Thank you, Linda, and good morning, everyone. So yes, as Linda just mentioned, we are excited to be participating in Giving Tuesday this year. Giving Tuesday is on December 3rd. However, we did launch our social media campaign on November 5th. If you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we wanted to emphasize the importance of STEM in the classroom for Giving Tuesday. So we have been using Reels to highlight some of our DPK sites STEM activities in their classrooms. We've also been highlighting parent testimonials, and some of the parent testimonials, like the one that's displayed on the screen right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. Sorry if it's a little small, but they're actually, oh, you can go back. Thank you. This one in particular is actually a parent from Children's Campus at South Point is actually talking about STEM activities in their classroom. So yes, we have been on our social media pages posting the reels each week. Well, we actually highlighted 3 sites so far, which are Children's Campus at South Point, White Rock CDC, as well as Child Care Network 58. And the parent testimonials have been highlighted on our stories. So if you haven't checked it out already, please do. If you can go to the next slide. So the purpose or the end result that, or end goal, is to raise money to provide STEMI kits for our DPK sites. And these are some of the photos on the screen from the sites that we've been highlighting. And yeah, so we're excited to be participating in this year. And hopefully we'd like to continue with the STEM efforts in our sites classrooms.
Yeah, and I want to lift up this event because we have always accepted donations to Durham PreK, and we've also always worked to raise funds through other grant opportunities for specific projects. But in the private donation realm, we typically receive a couple of $1,000s in donations each year from people who are really supportive of the program. But we have not had a concerted fundraising event, and this is just a very small step into that. Giving Tuesday is well documented and marketed across the country for a wide range of activities and nonprofits. And what we thought was really important was that we do something that was going to enhance our activities. We have very modest goals for this event, but we hope that our real goal is to lift up our STEM activities and what's going on and give people the opportunity to be a supporter if they choose. So in the coming weeks before December 3rd, which is only 2 weeks now, I think, pretty shortly, you'll be getting some additional information as a Durham PreK supporter in case you would like to share a donation for this purpose. But we are tracking any donation that comes in. We track it very closely to assure that it gets placed in the Durham PreK budget for programming, and so we can assure that any donation goes fully into the activities for Durham PreK. For the Giving Tuesday, a few days before and a few days after Giving Tuesday, any of those donations will specifically go toward our initiative to really build and support those activities, those STEM activities. You'll recall that last year, the learning thread for the ASK conference for our Durham PreK teachers, Nita talked quite a bit about the upcoming thread for the next ASK conference, but last year, the learning thread was very deeply embedded into our work to enhance our STEM activities in the program. So we hope that you will not forget us when you're considering your Giving Tuesday donations this year.
Debbie, did you want to ask something or say? Yeah, go
I
ahead.
did. I'm trying to figure out how to raise hand. There's that technology thing. I did want to say thank you for that STEM focus. You may remember under the district's new Growing Together initiative, we have reinvested in our STEM infusion across and braiding into all our curriculum areas. This is an awesome foundational experience for rising pre-K into kindergarten. So kudos in that regard, and hope you get tons of support for this. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to be clear because I did actually have a community member say to me, well, don't you have money for that? And we're not, we are supporting STEM activities and programs, and we're doing professional development around it, but we are looking at this as an opportunity for enhancement. Any funds that are raised. So it is hard to see when somebody raises their hand. Did anybody else have any questions about our Giving Tuesday work? Okay, so I'm going to ask Joy Turner to talk with you about a more heavy topic, our compensation model for providers. We've invested a lot of your time as governance members the last 4 meetings that we've had around our compensation model, because we are committed to having the best model we can to support the quality of our Durham Pre-K programs. So I'm going to turn it over to Joy and let her run through our latest work, trying to get you the data you need for future decision making.
Thanks, Linda. So just as a reminder, the 23-24 school year was the first year that we used the pre-service payment model. And that meant that each site received a pre-service payment at the beginning of the school year. That payment was calculated at 15% of the site's maximum annual Durham Pre-K payment based on allocated seats and current teacher BK license. And then the payments made throughout the 10 months of the school year returned to being based on child enrollment and attendance. At our June governance meeting, we went over the final enrollment and payment data for last school year by site in detail. So you may recall that. So this is just a quick summary of the overall impact of that payment model. Last year, the vacancy rate for Durham Pre-K was 6% overall. And you can see in this chart that only 3 sites received a decrease in their payments last school year as compared to the previous payment based on allocations that was during the years impacted by COVID. The average decrease was 11%, or around $13,000. 21 sites saw an increase, again, an average of 11% and around $17,800. So that's just a quick reminder of what we've talked about in the past. You can go to the next slide. So in mid-October, we sent sites an individualized report that outlined the impact of the pre-service payment model on their overall payments and enrollment for the 23-24 school year. So that information we went over with y'all in June, we put in a report for each individual site so they could see the impact. And in that email, it also invited them to complete a survey to share their thoughts about the pre-service payment model. And we also threw in some questions about the classroom bonus that they received at the end of the year as well. So I'm going to talk about both of those things. We invited 15 providers. If you'll stay there for a second. We invited 15 providers representing 18 sites to complete the survey. We got 11 providers representing 13 sites who completed it with that. It was a response rate of 73%. Everyone said that the pre-service payment was very helpful, and 91% were either satisfied or very satisfied with the pre-service payment model after they viewed their individualized report that we sent them. We asked them all the ways that they spent their pre-service payment, and so you can see that clearly the mostly used it for classroom materials and teacher bonuses, teacher compensation, and then a few other things as well, but classroom materials and teacher compensation were the highest. Around a quarter use it for holding in reserve for emergencies, which I thought was interesting. You can go to the next slide. We asked them about if it helped alleviate their concerns about their vacancies for last school year. And you can see that nearly half said yes, it did alleviate their concerns. And then another 36% said it somewhat alleviated their concerns. So it did help them. We also asked if, having experienced the pre-service payment last year, the effect that had on their concerns for this upcoming school year. And you can see that 64% said they were either not concerned at all about vacancies for the coming school year or were less concerned this year than they were last year. And so that's also a positive thing that it seems to be having an impact on their concerns about vacancies. Go to the next slide. We asked about an open-ended question about the impact of the pre-service payment on them, and their comments fell into a couple main categories. One is teacher salaries, and I just included the quotes here that you can read them. The main impact being helping with teacher salaries before they get their first reimbursement from their regular payments, and helping them to stay ahead of that. The next category on the next slide is classroom materials. So it makes sense that the comments mainly had to do with classroom materials and teacher compensation, since that was the two primary categories where we saw that they used the funds. So a lot of comments here about being able to set up their classroom for the new year, replenish supplies, kind of get things ready for the new school year. On the next slide, 91% would be likely to recommend becoming a Durham pre-K provider based on the pre-service payment model, which is very encouraging. And then I included we asked just kind of a final, like, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? And these are all the responses. But the main takeaway is that I think it helps with that first payroll of the school year. And I really like this last quote. I think that kind of summarizes everything. I think it's a necessary step to help centers feel secure about providing what they need for these classrooms. It doesn't make trying to make ends meet such a gamble or scramble. So, definitely help speaking to just kind of giving folks a cushion, a little way to not feel so stressed about the payments. I felt like that summarized a lot of the feedback that we received. The latter half of the survey was just a few questions.
Joy,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you for a second, but before we move to the classroom survey part, I just wanted to take the temperature of our group about the pre-service payment, because we've spent a lot of time these last 4 meetings talking about it. And, this was a very progressive decision you made after a lot of work looking at our compensation to add a pre-service payment. We have not been able to find, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but we haven't been able to find a public pre-K program that has such a pre-service payment. There are some programs that provide like a signing bonus type of thing to help pay for classroom setup and things like that, but a yearly pre-service payment to invest in the programs that is really geared toward trying to mitigate the impact of our vacancies is something we really haven't seen in other public pre-K programs. And, you'll recall that when you passed it, you said, we're going to pass this, we're going to try it, but we want regular check-ins about this initiative. And you did, after we have done several check-ins, you did commit to continuing it. For this current year, we did it. And I think that we'll continue to follow it as you directed us to. But I think that I wanted to just remind you that this is not a customary compensation model in other programs. And does anybody have any questions about it before Joy moves on to the teacher bonus feedback?
Linda, I just think the feedback that you all have received is just really showing how important the pre-service payment model is for our private childcare providers who don't have the extra supports. So I think we're seeing that it's important. And thank you for sharing all of this.
Should I move on, Linda?
Just want to point out that Brittany put in the chat about you know, how important she feels like that security is for, in particular, today's childcare climate. And you know, we'll continue to report to you, and obviously any questions that come up, we're always prepared to answer. But I do think that you know, it was controversial to stop doing the automatic payments by allocation at the end of the COVID period. You know, going back to paying on enrollment and attendance was daunting. And I think that this pre-service payment, you know, really was a new strategy to try. So we'll continue to report back to you on it.
The second half of the survey we did with providers was on the classroom bonus that they received, that you authorized at the end of the school year. So sites that were continuing in Durham Pre-K for the 24-25 school year received a classroom bonus of just almost $4,500. It's on the same survey, so we also saw a 73% response rate, and 100% stated that receiving the classroom bonus was helpful. And on the next slide, you can see similar to the pre-service payment, and that should say how sites use the classroom bonus survey. That's my mistake. Most use it for classroom materials and for teacher compensation as well. So you can see those are just high needs of the programs. When they get additional funds, that's where they tend to put those. The next on the agenda is the teacher bonus survey that we did, and I'm going to turn it over to Rachel to report on that.
Thank you, Joy. Good morning again, everyone. I'm going to present about the teacher bonus. And so this was received by all instructional staff at the end of last school year. And the rates of the bonus were tiered last year based on the years of experience that the instructional staff had in Durham Pre-K. And so we sent out the survey to those who received the bonus, and we had a 65% completion rate. 80% of those teachers reported that they were continuing to teach in the same Durham Pre-K classroom that they were last year. So that was good to see, a lot of them continuing on. About the benefits of receiving the bonus, many reported that it helped them to feel more satisfied with their job and that the bonus encouraged them to stay with their current program. Even more, 95 and 96% reported that it eased their financial stress and made them feel more appreciated and recognized for their work. So exciting to see all of those things. Of course, continuing in the classroom and feeling recognized, things that we are hoping for. On to the next slide, please. The financial impact of the bonus, the biggest things reported were that it helped them to pay their bills. So basic things like electric, water, phone, also addressing basic needs of their family like food and housing. Also in the top couple of things there was addressing transportation needs. So perhaps things like car payment or gas, and then lesser so adding to savings, health needs, additional resources for their classroom, recreation, gifts, or personal rewards. So lots of different uses for the bonus. Most importantly, though, those basic needs coming in at the top. Next slide. We wanted to share a couple of open-ended comments that we received. As we said, this year's bonus was structured differently than previously. In previous years, we've given more of a flat rate to everyone, whereas this year was tiered. And so we received several comments about the amount and being surprised about the amount and just wishing that there was some notice that the amount would be different. And so wanted to lift these up and bring this as an area of discussion for us today. I think the major takeaways, just being that the amount was less and that was surprising to people. And so wanting to get your input on what to do about this. And I'll turn it back over to Kathy and Linda.
Okay. If you'll go back to the previous slide. Um, I wanted to just mention a couple things because obviously this kind of feedback gives us pause. And I just wanted to remind this group how the bonus came about, and how it came about and how it works. So the bonus originally came about as a pandemic support, a way to really provide support to our instructional leaders in the classroom during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, there were a lot of financial efforts made, in a lot of arenas. And so I think that during the actual pandemic, people may not have built an expectation for a bonus. But the way the bonus has worked, you'll recall that you authorize, if we're going to give a bonus, we have to get authorization from you every year. It is not part of our budget. And the way it works on our side of the house in terms of the spending is that the amount of money available for a bonus, if you choose to give one, varies based on the fact that the money is coming from funds not expended due to vacancies or transition of children, during the school year. And so the bonus has never been, it's not a part of the budget, and it is not promised. And we've tried to be really clear about that, but I think as is understandable, because we have now given a bonus 4 times, 4 years. We started, the first bonus was in June of 2021, and it has varied in amounts because the amount of money we had available for a potential bonus varies. And as Rachel mentioned, in June of 24 was the first time we did a tiered bonus based on how many years the staff member had been working in the public preschool program. And that tiered amount was to celebrate and appreciate their staying at the program and, their retention with us. But in prior years, that flat bonus amount has always depended upon how much money was available and how many people we had who were eligible for the bonus. So these remarks from the teachers are disheartening, but understandable because they are living their lives. And if they've worked for multi-years in the program, obviously, they've clearly from these comments developed an expectation for the bonus. Doesn't mean everyone expects it, but some people do. And we did want to get your feedback about this because this current year, the current school year, looking at the budget so far in terms of the expenditures and the vacancies, we expect there to be potentially some money available for a bonus, but again, it will not be, we can't predict at this juncture how much it'll be. And it's not codified in the budget for a certain amount. And so we just wanted to have a conversation about that to get your feedback.
So can you remind us what was the bottom of the tier and what was the top of the tier for this past year?
Yeah, for this year, those who were working, have been in the program for 1 to 2 years received $2,200. 3 to 4 years, they received $2,700, and 5 to 6 years, which is the most they could have worked in the program, obviously, was $3,200. And let me be clear that the teacher and the instructional assistant both have received the same bonus amount. So we don't differentiate by credentials for that bonus. What we do is we look at how long have they worked in the program. If they only worked part of the year, we have sometimes we have prorated for those who've been there less than half of the year.
Thanks, Linda. Okay, everybody, do you have thoughts, comments, questions, ideas?
So this is June. So I know from the teachers here at Yates that they're hugely appreciative of this money. I'm sorry to see that some of these comments on here, because it looks like, as you say, that people are actively expecting it, and that makes it sort of awkward, doesn't it? But what I have been told by, especially by our lead teacher here, is that the reason that she's still here and hasn't gone elsewhere is partly because she's earning more money here than she can get elsewhere as a Durham pre-K teacher, and also because of the bonuses they're getting, and also because she's in the wages program. So she's looked for jobs elsewhere and has not taken them because she's earning more money here, and has decided that's why she's going to stay. I guess I do feel somewhat disheartened by these comments. Anyway, so I don't know what to say other than, anything you can do for the teachers is obviously hugely valuable, and it's sort of sad that they have to use this money for just basic needs, because they're evidently not making enough money to manage these basic needs in other ways. It's a shame they can't use it, for some sort of special thing that they could do. Their families. But anyway, anything you can do for the teachers is obviously hugely helpful and very much appreciated.
Thank you. Beth has her hand up.
Hi. I'm very grateful, especially in the legislative climate we are in right now, where we're not seeing support for the compensation grants at the levels we need and across the early learning space. I think these bonuses are incredibly important. And it makes me sad to read these comments. Just full transparency, my husband has a job where part of his income relies on the bonuses, and we do not know what those bonuses will be from quarter to quarter. And that does create uncertainty, right? It creates uncertainty in your planning and your budgeting. And the tighter your budget is, the more that uncertainty is felt, right? And I really hate the idea that any of these folks were blindsided when so many people are trying to stretch. Even in Durham pre-K, we know that that's not always enough, right? Like what someone earns is not always enough. And so I feel like there is an onus on us to make sure that we over communicate. I know that we shared information, but when your budget is tight, it is really important not to be blindsided. And so I think that we should take this feedback back in the spirit in which it was offered. There's still so much appreciation here, but also that when, you're not supposed to count on it, but when you're counting on it, it hurts, right? So.
Yeah. Thanks, Beth. I see this as the teachers are advocating for themselves. That's how I am reading these comments. And I am proud that they provided this feedback, because that is one thing that we have been really emphasizing in our profession for as long as I have been in this profession, which is a long time, is that we have got to be good advocates. And that's what they're doing here. And so June and Beth, that feedback is so vital. June, the story of your teacher who's staying because she's making more with the bonuses and with wages, that is really incredible. And that is not something we hear very often, is that Durham pre-K teachers are making more and they're staying put. That's amazing. Yeah. Just curious, any other thoughts or comments?
I just had one comment, much to what you were saying, Kathy, about teachers advocating for themselves. And I think in the broader context of Durham, especially this past spring with what happened with our Durham public schools, that we just need to be sensitive to the needs, especially salary needs. And this may be just, I think I think this survey probably tapped into something compensation wise and that's why this bubbled up where I'm preaching to the choir, so I'll reel it back in. But yes, I'm with Beth with saying over communicating, but I do think that there are probably this is the tip of the iceberg around salary and feelings around that.
Thanks, Brittany. Anybody else? So just curious, what does the group think? Should we include bonuses in the budget? Should we just go ahead and plan for this? as well as, of course, over communicate. I like that phrase. But is this something that we need, if that's even possible? I don't even know if that's possible, but is that something that we should entertain, that we put into the budget? Teachers will get a bonus every year. It will be X amount of dollars. Again, I don't know if any of this is possible, but would just love to hear, what are your thoughts on that?
Kathy, a question. I guess there is a part of me that's like, if we were putting it in the bonus, then wouldn't we just put that into compensation? Having it as a separate bonus line item, if you're putting it in and you're planning for a certain amount every year, then why wouldn't you just include that in the compensation level?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
Sure does. Yeah.
I think it's about what people can expect. And the bonuses, maybe we're saying that, like, because we don't have that flexibility, we can't exactly tell you what you can expect. At least that's the way bonuses usually land to me.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Beth. Linda, I see you're unmuted.
I just was going to mention that we are one of the few public preschool programs that we've been able to find, that we require all teachers, no matter what program they teach in under the Durham PreK umbrella, to be paid on the public school scale. And that includes the local dollars that are put into public school teachers. So it's not just the state rate. If they have their BK license, they get credit for their years of teaching, and they're paid at the same level. Now, those teachers, however, at the private sites, obviously they do not get the full benefit package of a state teacher. But we do emphasize benefits as something that we expect teachers to receive, but the value of that benefit package is rarely comparable to the exact public school benefit package. But this bonus has gone to all of our public preschool teachers and instructional assistants, including those working at the school district, and to date. I think Beth's point about potentially building it into the scale, it would be very challenging for us to propose to create a separate salary scale, because the state teacher BK license scale that we use, that mirrors Durham Public Schools, really is very nuanced and takes into account a teacher's experience every year and all that. However, the instructional assistant minimum rate that you have approved, that minimum rate is set by you. I think that budget-wise, and obviously we would consult closely with the county. I'll remind you that whatever this governing body recommends is a recommendation, and anything that you recommend then does have to be approved by the county. And to date, nothing has ever been turned over by the county that you have proposed or approved. But it is because it's in particular, since it would be a budget issue, that would be a thing to keep in mind. But the guidance about how important the bonuses are is something we definitely need from you. And if you did want to codify it in the budget, we would have to allocate fewer seats. The way we do it now is we allocate our seats based on the budget, and then we use any funds not expended due to vacancies for the for the bonus. So just to clarify where the money comes from for the bonuses.
Linda, what if, this is Xavier, what if it were mentioned or considered in the budget, if it were set aside as a percentage of available funds, as opposed to saying, here's a set amount? Because I don't think we want to make it difficult to have the number of seats we want. But if, as we're doing already, looking at what we have available, once everything has kind of shaken down, and just consider a percentage of what's available, as opposed to a specific amount. I agree that I don't think it should be a part of the budget because I think that is really complex because we're already in this very strange braided system anyway. But possibly a percentage of what is available at a certain time of the year, maybe. Anything that we could communicate to our teachers that we've heard them. Yeah, and I don't think I'm assuming it wasn't a lot of teachers making this comment, but you can believe, like Brittany says, tip of the iceberg, that most of them are thinking in this way. That might be a compromise.
Thanks, Xavier. Jamaica.
So I don't have a vote or a dog really in this fight, but I'm listening to the conversation and I'm thinking, the concept of a bonus is just that. It's a bonus above and beyond what it is, what they would normally get in terms of compensation. So I am honestly a little bit disappointed in the fact that it does seem that the comments kind of speak to the expectation of it automatically. And if being able to embed it into the budget means that that's going to impact the number of seats that are allocated, which that seems to me like we're going backwards versus forward. Because from what I understand, the whole goal of Durham Pre-K is to further expand access to high quality care for all in Durham, hitting that 75% of the US Census of the kids who are 4 years old in Durham County. And so I definitely think that it should be still just as it is a bonus. To speak to how Beth Messersmith mentioned, where you don't know what you're going to get every year when you're getting a bonus, if you get a bonus. So that's just my 2 brown pennies. But I do see where it is extremely important and helpful for people to receive bonuses. Please don't misunderstand that. But I'm probably sharing an unpopular opinion.
Thanks, Jamaica. Okay, lots of hands. Ioma.
No, I mean, and I'll be brief because I think it'd be good for Claudia to speak. So I mean, I definitely hear the sentiment about, I think, the over communicating on bonus, and also I think to the point about bonus is what it is, a bonus. I think we should also just, I think, reflect on, we're talking about an underpaid, undervalued sort of workforce. And I do think in some ways, I don't know if it's about the bonus, other than I think in some ways it's almost like they're reflecting what they often get, right? Which is like a promise of like, get this degree and you'll get this, PD and you'll get this, right? So I think in some ways, bonus is just, I would almost argue, is a symptom of a much larger problem that the early child workforce, particularly those who are in from minoritized identities, often get, is like, we're going to get you something if you do X, Y, and Z, like go above and beyond. So I do think in some ways, whether it's communication, but I think we should probably in some ways, take this as almost like is going to be about something else. And a larger issue is the fact of how early educators, even though, I think Durham Pre-K has tried to sort of, I think, align it with sort of, DPS on like, wages. And obviously there's some things that it just can't do. I think we all are sensitive to the fact of we're talking about a group of educators who are often given really false promises. And so I think some of this comment is probably maybe harsher because of the bonus part, but I think it just actually speaks to what we have heard for decades and decades about sort of the lack of sort of actually delivering on the promise what we've given. So I think in some ways, if we take that larger historical view and current view, you can kind of maybe see a little bit of the anger. And I think the question is, how do we sort of balance what is going to become potentially anger and then eventually actions? And as much as we may want seats to be filled, if we don't have a workforce, the seats will be empty. So I think we have to, really think thoughtfully about, we've always said we want to continue to focus on educators, which I think we've done, and the bonus, I think, speaks to that. But I think we're going to have to eventually buck up against this issue of, it may not be the bonus, but the bonus becomes what do they say? The straw that broke the camel's back. It ain't about the bonus, it's about these other stuff you promised me a long time ago. So I wonder if there's a way to sort of balance. I don't have an answer to it. And maybe Xavier's point about the percentage, maybe is that you give, maybe the committee maybe thinks through, maybe every half a year, semi-annual, see if there's any room to kind of give quote unquote bonuses or some other term to be used, whatever, right? So that there's a recognition that we understand you're not fully paid or compensated for the amazing work that you do. And we know that your role is important. But I think we have to remember, if there's no educators, there are no seats to be had. So I think we just have to figure, and we all know this already.
Thanks, Ioma. Okay, Claudia.
All great comments. I will say that this season that we're in is just very tough for so many places. The infrastructure dollars that flowed through either through the stimulus funds that families received, or the additional dollars for pre-K, for teaching, et cetera. It's been wonderful. And trying to go back to levels pre-COVID in certain areas is hard. And so and we're having the same struggle from the standpoint of maintaining expectations, keeping a talented workforce, but also facing the realities fiscally when there's so much winding down. I do like the idea of potentially coming up with a model that you build in some type of bonus. I would also say is nothing wrong also with asking for an amount either. Now, our ability to forward anything right now is it's very hard. So you don't want to necessarily ask in vain, but I also feel it's important to communicate, well, what is the ask? Because it may not be that the county supports it. It could be something that is a public-private partnership that that we have the community help support in retaining our workforce in this way. So I'm always the type in trying to balance more needs than often dollars, of looking at multiple ways of trying to resolve the problem. But I would say coming up with different scenarios and then being very transparent. I know we're having to do that right now because just bracing for the unknowns, but also planning that's happening in Congress and state, but also just sort of planning with the realities of a slowed economy for this budget year. And it's quite something trying to put your arms around it. So it is that transparency of helping everyone understand when the dollars were flowing, they flowed to you. And now that they're slowing, we will do our best, but it's unfortunately maybe at a different level as we try to figure out how to support the teachers at the levels desired. So I just wanted to reiterate just the importance of transparency and trying to figure out what does that look like. And so that it's not lost that this is a huge priority, but it's just the challenge of how do you meet that need?
Great, thank you. This is a wonderful discussion. I just have 2 pages of notes of what all has been shared here. We are at 11:03, so I don't think we have enough time to figure this all out today, but this would be something great at our January meeting that's going to be an extended meeting. So Linda, if that's okay with you, can we just table the rest of this conversation until January?
Yes, and we will also work with our partners at the county to see what type of scenarios might be acceptable, and we'll look at options, and for sure. And we'll also do a deep dive so that you have good information about the pacing for the the timing for the bonuses, what factors we take into account as we are calculating the bonus presently, and we'll look at potential models. So we'll definitely do that. The main thing was we wanted to hear, it sounds like there is support for a bonus if it's something that we can realistically achieve. And that gives us direction for getting additional information. So thank you.
I think the next thing is a break, but
It is a break.
okay, we are way over time. Okay, how does the
Yeah,
group feel?
Yeah, we're a little bit over 20 minutes behind. Obviously, toward the end of our agenda, we can, you have the handouts, but we can also send you some updates. But we do want to say that we do have some important information. If you feel like you could do a break independently of your own, if you need one, that would be awesome if you would consider that.
Is the group okay with that? Taking a break as you need, but we're going to continue the meeting on. All right, I'm hearing nothing, so let's continue.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Frederique, and what I'm going to ask you to do, Frederique, is be mindful of our time. We appreciate all the work that you guys have done, and we have several ways we've been pushing out the information that you've learned. So what I'll do is just ask you to shorten your presentation some for us, and then we will follow up with our members with some highlights in writing. So thanks for being here today.
Okay, thank you. So I'll try to go as fast as I can. But so I'm Frederique, and I work for the research department with Sabrina, who is also here. And so Durham PreK has been partnering with us to get some Durham PreK workforce insight based on our latest workforce study. And so CCSA, so now early years, has been conducting workforce study for the state for over 2 decades now. And so those studies aim to provide a snapshot of the ECE workforce serving children under 5 in license program, so across the state. And so we have our report available to everyone on our website. Next slide, please. But also a snapshot within its 100 counties. So again, on our website, you have access to the main report, but also 100 smaller reports. They are all like 4 pages long with insight about the landscape, the effect of the pandemic, and so on and so on. So the 2022-2023 study had 2 goals. First, to provide comprehensive data on licensed ECE programs and the workforce. And so our sample included over 2,700 centers and their teaching staff and 418 FCC homes. And our sample was designed to include various percentage of programs based on the number of centers in each county, but also taking into account the overall population based on star level and size. And so we sent surveys to administrator, director, their teaching staff, and FCC providers online, but also by mail and over the phone to reach out as many people as possible. So next slide. Our second goal this time was also to collect qualitative data and elevate experiences of the ECE workforce. So like, what do participants working as ECE professionals say about their experiences during the pandemic? And what would they suggest to move forward and strengthen the field? And so for that, we did 95 interviews and conducted 35 focus groups across the state. Next slide. So today we are just going to focus on the quantitative data part with a brief overview of some of our findings, and then some comparison with data that we received from Durham PreK around demographics, educational background, and staff compensation and benefits. So this data from Durham PreK was from 2023-2024. So a few findings, next slide. And we're going to start zooming out at the state level. So there are over 3,800 licensed centers serving around 180,000 children under 5 and about 1,200 homes. serving 4,800 kids. And so the distribution of centers varies depending on their star level and sponsorship. So if you go to the next slide, that graph presents centers and enrollment by star level, an indication of quality of care. I'm just going to highlight, because I cannot go through everything today with the time. So 49% of centers serving 52% of enrolled children were 5-star centers. Next slide, regarding sponsorship, for-profit centers comprise the majority of both program and enrollment across the state, with 60% of program and 65% of enrollment. And public funded centers account for 20% of all centers and 13% of children enrolled. So how those state distribution compare to those in Durham County? So again, you can go to our website with focusing to the Durham County report. Just two findings that we can highlight. So a higher percentage of children enrolled in 5-star centers compared to the rest of the state, and also a higher percentage of children enrolled in public funded program. Next slide, please. So out of our survey, we estimated a workforce of over 20,000 people working in licensed programs. So now let's zoom in and see how do Durham PreK data align with statewide data regarding demographics, educational background, wages, and benefits. So demographics, next slide, please. So similar to statewide, most Durham PreK teaching staff identified as female with over 95%. Regarding race and ethnicity, 81% of Durham PreK teachers identified as Black African American, compared to 41% at the state level and 50% across Durham County. A similar trends was observed with teacher assistants. In addition, 12% of Durham PreK teachers and 10% of Durham PreK TA identified as white Caucasian, compared to 50% statewide. And Durham PreK also include a diverse representation of people identified as Asian, Pacific Islander, biracial, multiracial, or Hispanic, Latinx, Spanish origin. Next slide, please. Educational background, so all Durham PreK teachers and 88% of assistant teachers reported having a college degree in any field, compared to 61% statewide for teacher and 46% for assistant teacher. Those Durham PreK percentage are also higher than those of HC PreK teachers and assistant teachers across the state. Next slide. In addition, if we look at the percentage of teaching staff having a college degree in the field of early care and education, we can see that about 8 out of 10 Durham PreK teachers and half of the assistant teachers reported having a degree in the field. So again, those two percentages are higher than what we observed statewide or within NC PreK. Next slide, staff compensation. So in the surveys, in our surveys, so teachers and TA were invited to self-report their salary, and then we calculate the median as a half point. So this graph presents a comparison of those data with Durham PreK salary verified by pay stub monitoring. So it's two different sources of data. The median salary for Durham PreK was $26.94 per hour for teachers, compared to $15 statewide and $16.25 within NC PreK. For assistant teachers in Durham PreK, we were at $19 per hour compared to $13 statewide and $14.76 within NC PreK. And we just want to highlight that Durham County is an expensive county to live in, with the MIT living wage calculator estimating a living wage of over $40 for one adult living with 2 children to meet ends. last slide with the benefits. So 84% of Durham PreK teaching staff received fully or partially paid healthcare compared to 50% statewide. 100% of Durham PreK teaching staff received paid vacation, and 96% of Durham PreK teaching staff received retirement benefits compared to 43% statewide. So I'm going to pause it. It's a lot of data and I had to go very quick. So, but I'm happy to answer any question you may have either now or later on by email. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I think for us, that was really important to get that perspective because as a program, we've invested so much in teacher compensation, and these information points really matter as we're making decisions for the future. Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to say thank you so much to Frederique and her team for their work. We really have appreciated the partnership with them, and we continue to work with them as we look at taking advantage of other data available in our program. So we're going to ask Rachel to come back and talk to you about this school year and our most recent review of our demographics and salary information.
Yes, thank you, Linda. Hi again, everyone. So looking at this year's Durham PreK teacher demographics, we can see we have 39 lead teachers and 36 instructional assistants. I do want to note that this information excludes Murray Massenburg Elementary. The breakdown of these lead teachers and instructional assistants is listed on the slide. You can see we have 100% women this year, which is a little different than last year. We did have a few men in the classroom, but this year is all women. We have 9% who are multilingual, and the breakdown of that is shown on the slide. Several that speak Arabic, Chinese, and Spanish, so that is exciting. And then looking at race and ethnicity, we can see we have 84% who identify as Black, 11% as white, 3% as Asian or Pacific Islander, and then 2% as Latinx. Next slide, please. Looking at lead teacher license types and years of experience, many teachers, 19 of them, have a continuing license, followed by initial and residency license, a few having each of those types, and then 11 that do not currently have a license. Looking at years of experience, most commonly, we have 9 teachers that have 11 to 15 years of experience, 7 having 0 to 5 years, 6 having 6 to 10 years, and I wanted to highlight we have 2 teachers who have 21 or more years of experience, so many years of experience on their license, very exciting to see. Overall, average years of experience is about 10 and a half years, and again, this information does exclude Murray Massenburg. Next slide, thank you. So this slide looks at last year's teacher and payment information compared to what we're projecting for this year. And so last year we had 42 lead teachers for 659 seats, which is 1 teacher per 16 seats. 31 of those 42 teachers, so 74%, were eligible for our teacher support payments. The average years of experience for those eligible teachers was 8.8 years. The average monthly support payment per teacher was $1,192.72, and then our last year spending was that $368,931. For this year, we again have 42 lead teachers for 653 seats, and 25 of those 33 teachers, so 76%, are eligible for the teacher support payments. And that is due to the note below in that smaller font that Murray Massenburg and Whitted will not receive the teacher support payments this year because they're going to receive their funding directly from the county. So that's the difference in the numbers there from this year to last year. But on a percentage basis, having 2% more teachers eligible for the support payments this year than last year. And similarly, the average years of experience is a little bit more this year at 10.6, as we talked about on the last slide. And this means that the average projected monthly support payment per teacher is a little higher this year at $14.23. And our projected spending for this year being $355,639 in total. Looking at teacher salary, this is based on data for all of Durham PreK sites, not Durham Public Schools. And this information is based on verified data from teacher pay stubs that are submitted for our monitoring purposes. So we see that for lead teachers, the minimum salary is $41,000 for those who do not have a license or not an eligible license type. And the maximum salary for a lead teacher this year is about $65,000, the median being around $56,000 and the average around $54,000. For instruction, back one. Thanks, Tamara. For instructional assistants, the hourly minimum this year is $19.21 an hour. And so a lot of teachers are paid that, all the way up to a maximum of $24 an hour, the median being $19.93 and an average of $20.20 an hour. Metal, I see your question. DPS data was not included at the time that these slides were put together. The salary information from DPS was not yet available. We have since received it, but it just wasn't included in these slides because it just became available earlier this week.
Yeah, and we always during the school year update the information as it comes in. And this is a typical thing that happens this time of year.
Thanks, Linda. Looking at benefits offered to our Durham PreK teachers, we collect this information as part of contracting at the beginning of the school year. And so this year, again, all teachers have at least 6 paid holidays. All Durham PreK providers provide paid vacation days, with 11% providing 1 to 5 vacation days and 89% offering 6 or more days of paid vacation. For sick leave, we have 17% of Durham PreK providers who do not offer paid sick leave. 44% offer 1 to 5 days of sick leave, and 39% offer 6 or more days. This year, we started asking about whether paid sick days can be used to care for dependents. And so of those Durham PreK providers who do offer paid sick leave, 73% allow those sick days to be used to care for dependents, so children or other family members. And so that was good to see. Next slide, please. Looking at insurance that is at least partially paid by the employer, so partially or fully paid, 78% provide health insurance and 44% provide dental or vision insurance. For retirement, 94% offer retirement with contributions from the employer, and of those, 83% employer contributions depend on employee contributions, so employees needing to make contributions in order to receive those employer contributions. We also ask about waiting periods before benefits begin, and most commonly that takes 90 days from an employee's start date for the benefits to take effect. Next slide, thank you. Last couple of things, we started asking about parental leave and family and medical leave this year. And so we see that 22% offer paid job protected parental leave, 33% offer unpaid job protected parental leave. And then looking at family medical leave, no providers offer paid job protected family medical leave, but 39% offer unpaid job protected family medical leave. So some variation in what is offered there as far as leave time for those various needs. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Rachel. I do want to do a shout out to Beth Methersmith for always being a strong advocate around us really looking deeply at the benefits. And in response to her questions the last couple of years, we've adjusted our surveying of information to address those leave questions more deeply. So hopefully that was able to provide you with information that reflects our investment in the teaching benefits. We continue to be disappointed with those sites that don't have paid leave for sick leave, the 17% that have no paid sick leave. And that's something that we are disappointed with and will continue to look at.
Real quick, thank you so much for Frederic and for Rachel for going so fast. We're back kind of on time. That was a lot of information that y'all delivered in just a perfect way. Thank you. Okay, so next, this is the last thing on the agenda, I think. So you will recall that we have an extended in-person meeting planned for January. And I think we want to get some information from you all about what you would like for this meeting to be like. Is that correct, Linda?
Yeah, we met with the facilitator to begin, brainstorming around the meeting, and obviously our priorities for it to be extremely dynamic meeting that honors your time. We will have lunch available, but we imagine that there will be a couple of business items that we would take care of the very first part of the meeting so that we're not delayed, since after our January meeting, the next meeting would be March, and January will be in the thick of budget items and that type of thing. So we believe there'll be some kind of business oriented things at the first part of the meeting. But then we really imagined it's an in-person meeting, and obviously we want a chance for very, to have collegial interaction, but really wanted to know your thoughts about further information. Obviously, I've made note that now we'll be needing to really provide you with information about potential bonuses. That's, we'll add that. But I think we just really, and if you are interested in being part of the planning for the meeting, please reach out and let us know, because we welcome participation in planning the agenda with our facilitator. So please let us know if you would like to volunteer for a couple of meetings in support of the planning.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, is there anything that you wish we had more time to talk about? Is there any information you want to take a deep dive on? Really, it's up to us to decide what's going to be the best use of our time. So we will have, is it 9:30 until 1 or 1?
The meeting goes till 1.
So we'd just love to hear if there are any ideas at this time. Oh, here we go. Great, Brittany. Can we have demographic data again? Yeah, that'd be very helpful.
Certainly, we can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if this fits, but there's going to be a lot of work being done in January at the state level about coming up with some new approaches to how we do fund support childcare at the state level. It's going to be a big topic of conversation. And I just wonder if there's a place or a space, even if it's just a sticky note board, where we can talk about the things that we've learned in Durham Pre-K that are, I feel like we're innovative, we've tried, we've done a lot of things, and we've learned a lot of lessons. And if there's a space that we could figure out some of those that would be worth lifting up in the statewide conversation.
Thanks. That's a great idea, because I think you're exactly right. This is a very innovative approach to publicly funded pre-K, and it would be wonderful if we can lift up what's going on so it can spread statewide. Yeah, thank you for that. Anything else? And if y'all are anything like me, 4 minutes after this meeting ends, you're going to come up with all of these things that you want us to cover in the meeting. So just reach out to Linda, reach out to myself, and just let us know anything that you are thinking about, you would want to have us tackle in that meeting.
Yeah, we do intend to have a for sure in the room to have quite a bit of the data that you get in these meetings posted, so that potentially you can walk around and remind yourself about some of those. So we have talked about that. It sounds like that might be useful given all the myriad of information from this program. But for sure, if there are any things that come to your mind, we try to be very flexible and dynamic. So in addition, between now and then, we will be sending you, we try not to bombard you with too many emails, but we will be sending you an update about our work with our partners on data sharing. And we have a summary of information that we are working to build in order to tell the story of our children with the existing available data we have in the TS Gold program. So you'll be getting an update about that also over email in about probably in 2 weeks. So that'll be another piece that will be newer information for most of you.
Thanks. Okay, and I think on the next slide, we just have reminders about the next meetings.
Yes, and we just want to remind you again about Giving Tuesday. As you're reviewing your personal budget, feel free to give a shout out to Durham PreK, and we'll be sending you information about that opportunity. And tell your friends, because we know that those STEM reels, if you follow us on Instagram, those STEM reels really are reveal the joy of our children and the real investment we're making in their school readiness and future success through life.
Great. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, everybody. All right, it's 11:30. We'll need a motion to adjourn. There are all your lovely faces. So do we have a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to leave. How about that?
This is Alex Hollett. I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Alex. Do we have a second?
Brittany, second.
Thanks, Brittany. Okay, all in favor, you can just go away. If any opposed, stay on camera.